just not ready to sell yet because I don't know my niche is one of the most expensive sentences I hear from business owners. And I want to explain to you exactly why. If you have ever said to yourself, I will start posting more on social media, or I'll start sharing more about it, to my friends about my business once I know my niche. If you have said that, this episode alone is going to save you so much time and money. You can thank me later. We've all been told the same thing, especially if you're in the coaching industry. Niche down even more, and then niche down even more than that, right? Like niche down to the point where it feels painful. And personally, I think that this advice hurts newer business owners more than it helps. I'm going to go into that because I do think there is a time and place for niches, but if this is feeling like a reason that you're not starting your business because you're feeling overwhelmed by this topic, I specifically made this episode for you. Speaking of new business owners, I want to share with you about my new free training called 0 to 5K. I literally named it that because I remember when I first started in business, getting to 5K months felt, first of all, really overwhelming, but it was sort of like the first benchmark I had for myself as a business owner and as a new coach. So I know that a lot of you are probably feeling the same way. And if you're at, new, like 0, or you are at 2,000, 5,000 might feel really far away and it might feel overwhelming. So in this free training, I'm going to break down very simply how you can start having 5K plus recurring months. And you don't need a big Instagram following. You don't need a big email list. You don't need to have your niche perfectly figured out. I'm going to break it all down for you so simply on August 11th. You can join us by using the link below in the show notes. All right. Speaking of niche, let's get into it. So when I first got into the coaching business specifically, because I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, but really specifically got into coaching 6 years ago, I didn't have a niche at all. I was in a life coaching certification program, shout out to IGC. And I really was trying to find my lane. And I remember one of the first major stressors I had was what is my niche? And I'm really glad that I had a great advisor and also a strong inner intuition, which was what if you didn't do what everyone says, which is pick a very specific niche? And instead, you just prioritized having conversations. And this was one of the best intuitive hits I got. Because here's the thing. My first industry that I was in was fashion, and then I was in health and fitness. And then being in a life coaching certification, right? You're talking about life. There's a lot of things that happen in life. And I just felt really open to talking to whoever was coming into my sphere. So at the time, I was going through a divorce. I had also recently come out as queer. I had been an entrepreneur. I had been interested in fashion. I had started a podcast. So I was getting people coming to me for a variety of different things. Some of my first clients really were women who were struggling in their relationships. They were unhappy in their long-term marriages. They felt like they had lost themselves. Potentially they were new moms and their identities had been shattered. And really they were who am I outside of being a mom? So a lot of my first clients were around those topics. I also had clients who really suffered from hitting goals, and specifically health goals. They were wanting to get healthier, whether that was lose weight, eat healthier, have better movement habits, whatever it was, they were really struggling with the mindset piece of the health journey. Then I had other clients who wanted to start being more visible and have confidence in showing up and doing a podcast or showing up online. And as you can see, those 3 niches, if you will, that I just talked about, those 3 different types of clients, don't really have much to do with one another. The commonality was me as the coach. I was just really open to receiving what was coming across my path and saying, you know what, let me give this a chance. I know that I can support this person because that's the other thing. When you go through a proper coaching certification program, you are truly trained to coach, and you don't need to be the expert on the topic. You need to be the expert in helping that other person be the driver of their life. And I think when you are properly certified, that takes so much pressure off of you as a professional, because it isn't my job to figure out your life. It isn't my job to tell you what to do. My job is to tell you, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Here's the patterns I'm hearing from you. Here's the thing it is that you said that you wanted. Here's the plan that we laid out. What got in the way? Why didn't we do that? Right? That's my job. And so, because I had the proper training and because I had the awareness of, let me see what kind of lands, I always say that my niche actually found me. I didn't niche until about 2 years ago when I decided, you know what, I don't want to do life coaching anymore. I really want to do business coaching. And if I'm being honest, I still have two life coaching clients because they've been with me and they find so much value in what I bring to the table. And both of them are very successful business owners. And the work we do enhances their business, but we aren't talking about their business, which is, I love it so much, because I don't like to put myself in a box. If I feel like I can support you and I'm feeling called and it's that full body fuck yes moment, I'm going to say yes to the opportunity. And so, 2 years ago, I decided to say, I really want to work with women in business, right? And that kind of fell on my lap, as I said, because I was doing life coaching and I saw the commonality was the women that I was coaching were all wanting to have the goal of having a business. And I was like, there's something here. I can see this pattern. And the coach I was working with at the time helped to call out that pattern. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to go into business coaching. And then it wasn't until this year, which is 2026, it wasn't until January of this year, maybe even a little bit before that, where I said, you know what? I'm actually going to do sales. And currently, as it stands, this is the most niche I have ever been outwardly facing, where I have called out trauma-informed sales. And that was a little bit uncomfortable for me because I felt like, well, what if someone doesn't want trauma-informed sales, right? And they don't think that I can help them. And what I have found is, if you listen to the episode I did last week, which is all about, the saturation in the coaching market, I really dove deep into human first coaching. And because I have always prioritized relationships and authenticity and genuinely being there with my clients and not like outsourcing and automating so much of my business that I've lost touch with what my people want and what they're saying, I feel like having a niche at this stage has really helped me. And it's now allowing me to reach the kind of women I deeply want to connect with. So what I really want you to walk away from this is, if you are really struggling with this and it's holding you back, if not having a niche is not allowing you to take action in your business, to post on social media, to have conversations, I want you to set that down and just allow yourself to be open and also tap into your natural gifts and strengths. What are the things that your friends come to you for? What are the people and the conversations that you're already having, and not worrying about putting a label on it quite yet. And just allowing for the time in which it needs to take to allow it to unfold, and instead prioritize helping people and putting your business out there and sharing what it is that you are. Like, hey, I am a coach, or I am a graphic designer, or I am, I help people make their podcast. I help moms who are coming back to work. So you can really talk about the type of people that it is that you like to support. But because of who you are as a person and being multifaceted, you're probably going to attract a number of people, and allow yourself to have those conversations. I also want to remind you that having a niche is not a prerequisite for being a business owner, okay? There are plenty of successful business owners who didn't have a niche when they first started, or who maybe don't have a niche now, right? And so please don't pigeonhole yourself into this and think, oh my gosh, I need to have this perfectly polished, perfectly fleshed out. That is just putting way too much pressure on yourself and forcing something that doesn't need to be forced. Instead, allow yourself to have 2 or 3 different types of clients, and your niche will naturally unfold for you. Here's the other thing I want to remind you, that having a niche doesn't guarantee you getting clients. It does mean that it might help you get clearer on what it is that you do. But if you don't have the skill of sales, it doesn't matter how clear your niche is. You're not going to have clients, okay? So while you're figuring out your niche, I highly recommend that you practice on your sales skills and your lead generation skills, okay? Those are the kind of things that I'm going to be talking about in my free class on August 11th, okay? So please understand that even if you were tomorrow to wake up and say, here's my exact niche, that does not automatically mean that your business is going to be a success. Somewhere along the way, we got confused that there's some like magic rule book when it comes to owning a business, and that we have to have this thing called a niche. And so again, I want to share that you are allowed to help more than one type of person, and you are allowed to be in the process of figuring it out. But what you're not allowed to do is to use this as an excuse as to why you can't grow your business or get clients. After 6 years of being in the coaching industry and helping literally hundreds of people through so many different topics, what I have genuinely realized is that this whole niche debacle, if you will, often isn't really even about the niche at all. It's about having a reason or something to blame as to why not do the thing that we say that we want to do, or we freak out about what if we get it wrong? What if I choose something and I change my mind? That's scary. Those are scary thoughts. And it's happened to me. And what I can say is, I'll be turning 40 this year, and I've had 3 major career changes. The first one, which was my love, being in fashion, I never saw myself coming out of that industry. And what I realized is, you don't ever really leave industries. It's impossible to make a mistake, because if we're doing it was for us anyway, this was supposed to be something we were needing to learn or know along a way, or a conversation we were supposed to be having. So trusting the process and the way that it needs to unfold, rather than allowing it to hurt us and keep us stuck. Because it is easier to stay hidden. It is easier to say that if I don't have a niche, then I can't promote myself, or, whatever the reason is, I can't post on social media because I don't have a really fancy, cutesy title of the type of coach that I am. It's easier to say that. But you know what's really hard? It's really hard when 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you're still in the same place and you're wondering what you're doing wrong. Why are you still stuck? So I want to reiterate that again, you don't need to know your niche to get started, to take clients. You're allowed to have more than one type of client. It is perfectly okay if you spend your first 2 to 3 to 4 years in business in process. That's okay. It's also okay if you change your mind. I have changed the name of this podcast 3 times over the last 6 years, because I evolve as a person, and you will too. And so even if you were to get it all right today, it doesn't mean that you'll be doing the same thing in 4 or 5 years from now. Maybe you will, but also maybe you won't. And Either way, it's okay. So I want to encourage you, rather than stay stuck and obsessive about this fucking niche, instead, start being human, start having conversations, start opening yourself up to being able to support the people who feel called to you and using your skill of service to solve the problem that's in front of you, because that's what people need, is your ability to get them out of the place that they are in. Show them a different way. Okay, I've mentioned it a couple of times in this episode, but if you haven't already, what are you doing? Go down to the show notes, enroll for the free masterclass happening on August 11th, 0 to 5K. I'm going to go deeper on this topic of, what to actually focus on when you are trying to hit that first 5K plus month again and again and again, right? Not just one time, but learn how to sustain it and become the type of business owner that can hold this next level of success. All right. So that is what I really want you to do. Leaving this episode, join us on August 11th. You can enroll completely free down there with the link in the show notes. And next week, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite things, which is how to get your clients and grow your audience when you have a really small following or a small list. So I will see you back here next week. I hope to see you at the masterclass. And if this episode landed with you, please share it with a business bestie, subscribe, share to your socials, and tag me at The Beam Life. All of those things help a show of this size grow and reach the right people. So thank you so much. I'll see you back here next week.